Hey there everybody, Joe here. Thanks for tuning in again. So I've been in Plano, Texas, and I haven't done any work on my murals that I've been working on here at home. This job in Plano, Texas, I'm painting clouds on a dome ceiling. So this is really cool for me because it's not often that you get such a supreme stage to do a painting on. This it's backlit, it has LED lights coming from a recessed shelf around the dome, and you know, we actually had to spend a good amount of time getting it super smooth so that you have this really smooth, no shadows cast by the lights along the edges of the drywall texture. So my neck is a little bit tired from skim coating that with the trowel. But I'm very excited about the way this job is turning out. I think it's valuable to know that I spent a good amount of time troubleshooting the color. The first time I painted the clouds, I was working off of a rendering that I did on a little board. And so I show up on the job, and even though I have that rendering, I still haven't picked out my final colors. So I just had the little rendering like this. I just took a picture, I have it on my computer screen, but when I show up on the job site, who knows what the actual lighting is going to be like, and if I want to use exact colors that I mixed when I was painting that rendering. So I'm using that rendering for the layout of the clouds, but not exactly for the color, because I want the color to be customized to that environment. So I spent the whole first day painting the cloud with primary colors. When I'm doing a rendering, I'll do red, yellow, blue, and white so that I can just mix any color I'm thinking of and look at that and identify if it's my favorite colors, you know, and there will be colors in there because I'm working with primaries. There will be all of these accidental colors that are mixed in, and I'll identify my favorite spots and say, okay, that's what I need to mix for my final. The reason that I don't just do the whole thing with the primaries is because it's slow and the paint is drying fast, and it's actually a very difficult thing to get smooth blends when you have three variables of primary colors that can bend the color, you know, in all these different directions. So it's real hard to quickly match up edges and blend things. I mean, if you've tried, you know. So the closer I can get my three colors, I'm basically working with a shadow color, a transitionary color, and a highlight color, which I go into a lot more detail in my How to Paint Clouds video that you can get on my site, and you can also see on YouTube. I go into depth talking about how I use those colors and why they're important. So on this one, my highlight color, it's all kind of sunset colors. I have that bright orangish white that is the bright strip around it. And we see a lot of clouds like this here in Arizona, where you have the cloud has this reddish color, but it's kind of shadowed, but it's backlit, and it's just a beautiful thing to see where you have that silver lining effect, but it's not the gray colors, it's in the sunset colors. So you have that bright kind of gold red strip that's too bright to show with paint, but you know, I just use a very white color with a little bit of orange, and then it fades to those deeper reds and violets in the shadow. And so once I got that color mixed, those colors, that highlight, and then my reddest color, that's a transitionary color, and then my most blue, which is more like a violet. Then I started painting the whole scene, and it was going much more quickly once I got that mixed. But it was no short process. I mean, it took me a whole day to get that figured out. You can see that once I have those colors dialed in, it's easy for me to just say, here I want a bright spot, and I'll build the edges. Everywhere there's an edge of a cloud that's going on edges that go away from you, right? So an edge like this, you have the darker colors. And wherever an edge is like a flat wall facing you, you have a lighter color. But which of those three colors it is just depends on how dark it is, how much light is in it. So I get that look of the light being in it and shining through it by having those colors more extremely different, of the violet to the red to the yellow. And you can see me explain in other videos why those colors, to achieve the effect of translucency. So all I do once I have those is, if I'm on the brighter, most yellow-orange color, then I'll use my next color down, my transitionary color that goes into the reds. I'll use that for the shadows around those edges. But if I'm in the darker part of the cloud, and I have an area that's already that darker red, that's that middle tone, that I also call the transitionary color, then I'll use the violet for the shadows on that, and get the same effect of light being inside it shining out, because of the relationship of those colors, how it goes from the violet to the red to the yellow as it gets brighter. So I'm using that effect a lot in this entire picture, and just really enjoying the way it's turning out. It's really important when you're doing a scene like that to get the sky to a dark enough blue that you can actually have it look bright, because the more color you add to a white, well, the less bright you can make it. That's just the fact that you deal with paint, is that you can only get so bright. So it's important. I was really happy that Faye, my customer here, wanted to go with a realistic feel and a blue that was on the bold side compared to others. Sometimes it's a desired effect to have more of a faded feel, more misty. And there's advantages to both things, but this is really nice to achieve vivid sunset colors. It's nice to have the truer blue, because you can always shine a light on it to make it brighter. But having that blue added to the sky darkens it down enough that I can still have room to make the clouds brighter than the sky. If the sky is too light, too grayish or light blue, it's hard to get a white that's even bright enough to look like it's glowing. So it's something to think about when you're doing a scene like this, what that right balance is of a blue that's dark enough so that you still have room to go brighter. Every picture I paint, I always think about at the beginning, what is my darkest spot? What is my lightest spot? I want to make sure that I leave room to get as light as I need to get on my brightest highlight. Because if I take this object that's supposed to be darker than my lightest colors and lighter than my darkest colors, I take this object in a picture that's in the middle somewhere. Well, if I make it too light, then I might gauge other things off of it and then get to my lightest, brightest white before I've even gotten to my highlights. And then my highlights don't even show because I got too light too fast. So it's important to think about ahead of time, which is exactly the thing that I was doing when I was pre-mixing these colors as well with the clouds. So I hope it's helpful, just checking out the technique that I'm using. It's always fun for me to demonstrate how it's the same technique, big brush or little brush. This is, it's longer than I am, this cloud. And I'm using the exact same technique as if it was just a little cloud here on a painting, just a bigger brush. And so a lot of times I'll be asked, what the price difference is. Is how do you price things? I usually price things based on the number of edges that I have to paint, because size typically just means a bigger tool, a bigger brush. It doesn't always mean a lot more time. It does mean more time. It takes more time, but not as much more as the square footage might make you think. So I'll stop there, and I'll be eager to see what you have to say about this one. It's fun to break away from the jobs I've been slaving over at home and travel to Texas to do something new. Having a lot of fun doing it, and I'll be eager to show you the finish. Right now I'm going to look at some of the comments from last week's post, Galaxy Outer Space scene that I'm doing. I don't even know what to call it now, because I don't know if they're galaxies or nebulas or what. There's all these comments, and I'm not a space expert. I don't think I ever will be, so I'm just gonna live with whatever I think looks pretty on that painting. Create for a Cause says, this piece is blowing me away, inspires me a lot to upload videos also. Love from Connecticut. Well, thank you for that encouraging compliment. It couldn't be a better compliment to say you're inspired to upload videos. To think that I've motivated you at all is an honor to me. So thank you for sharing that and encouraging me as well. Kenneth Fish says, I wonder if you could achieve an illusion of three-dimensionality if you put cast shadows fading away behind those dark bodies that are there. A great idea. I didn't even think of that. That's a really cool idea. But if I were to make shadows fading away behind objects, then I would want to show light hitting the face of the object, and then they wouldn't be dark anymore. It would change the scene. So I could do that. You know, I could make the light shining on the face and then shadows behind it. And I do think you're right that would make a three-dimensional effect. Anytime you do a good job of making light shine through your scene and imagining how it three-dimensionally goes through, I think anytime you do that, you get more three-dimensional looking work. Good idea. Maria says, your baby stole the show. He always does. Dawid Lipka. Green spiral galaxy doesn't fit, both in color and shape. The rest of the picture looks great though. I appreciate that genuine comment. Chef Osbury says, the spiral galaxy doesn't fit. I'm starting to think that the spiral galaxy doesn't fit here. It should either be in front or smaller and in back. Gas clouds are exploding stars and fill a bigger area, but loving the colors. Ray Shannon says, cute little helper you have there. You'll be able to get a lot more done. Yeah, maybe someday I will. Jordan Ariel says, Joe, I love watching your videos. I learn so much from you. Most magicians don't reveal their secrets. Cool that you do. Well, thank you for that nice compliment. And I just want to say, Jordan, that I really like your thumbnail pictures, you know, holding the brush up. It reminds me of somebody else I know that loves to paint. I like the joyful feel that little picture gives there. Liette Monique says, thank you for your lessons. They call me an outside artist as I've never had lessons, but my work is selling. Thanks to your detailed instructions. You rock. Well, don't give me too much credit. I mean, if you're selling your work, then congratulations. That is a big accomplishment. And I don't sell a lot of my pieces that I paint. You know, I could count them on one hand. I get commissioned to paint things on people's walls, and so I've kind of found this niche for doing that. But good job selling your pieces. I'm very thrilled that you even think of me as being associated with that. Way to go. Keep up the good work. Amy M says, always a pleasure watching your videos. The information about the 3D effect being more 3D looking on a gradient as opposed to a solid color was very helpful. Good job wording that. That was better than I could have said it. Your little boy is so precious, just a cutie pie. Thanks, I think so too. Wasim says, love from South Africa. I just sat next to a guy from South Africa, very nice guy, good company, on the plane to Plano, Texas. I said, what do people in South Africa like to do? What's a popular thing to do there? He said, eat meat. I'm sure it was. Lars Richter says, hey Joe, I think adding the planets is a cool idea. I think it would look good if you were to add some shadows cast by the planets. Hey, that's, it's number 2 saying shadows cast by the planets. Sorry that I have found a better example. I appreciate the apology, it's such respect. More importantly though, the explosion on the right looks to me like a nebula created by a collapsing star. The yellowish thing on the left looks definitely like a galaxy, with the bright spot in the middle where the supermassive black holes sit and the spiral arms coming from the center. The perspective you chose makes it even look like the well-known Sombrero Galaxy. Although nebulas are many light years across, they are still tiny in comparison to the average galaxy. That makes your mural look like, at least for me, a space enthusiast, as if the nebula is pretty close to the viewer and the galaxy sits behind. Was that your intent? I asked because it looks like the galaxy is crashing into the nebula. Now that's a good idea. Enough talk now, but I thought I'd let you know. Super awesome videos. Thank you for that nice compliment. I'll keep watching, says Lars. Thank you, I appreciate that very much, and for all that education on space stuff that I know nothing about. Chibi Chub, and I'm just reading this because I just like that username, Chibi Chub. These are super fun to watch and learn from. Thanks a lot, and thank you for that encouragement. Also, I want to remind you that we finally have a Patreon account. It's been up for a month or so now, and I just posted my first video. So the way Patreon works is it allows people to contribute to what we're doing with this Mural Joe channel and give money to that if you want to, if you really feel like you're benefiting from these videos and you want to do that. I never expect it, but just always appreciate it, and I'm thankful for the contribution. I just posted the first video that is for patrons only, so that's if you choose to give $1 or more per month, then you have access to a video that I release once a month. This is just a way of for me to say thank you to those who are choosing to be patrons. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Super big pleasure for me to read through these comments, and I'm always learning new things. Thanks for the suggestions, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.